Warning, this video contains mature content and spoilers for D&D Strixhaven and Book of the Raven. If you do not want spoilers, or want to hear me swearing, or talking about mature themes, do not watch this video. You have been warned.
Hey everyone, so today I am going to start a new concept. So basically what I decided I wanted to do is I wanted to do like a chatty get ready with me, but I'm going to be just regaling you with the shenanigans that I do with my D&D group basically. So I have two D&D groups, one that meets during the day and one that meets at night. And one group is doing Heliana's right now, and one group is doing Strixhaven right now. And the Strixhaven group throws in a bunch of other events and stories and just throws in a bunch of other stuff, books and stuff. I'll try to put, at the beginning of these videos, I'll try to mark what the spoilers are, but that DM doesn't always tell me what the books or the names of the events are that we're doing, so I'll do my best. But basically, spoilers for any D&D content will be in this because I'm not going to stay spoiler free because that takes away the fun of it. But yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing. I'm gonna put on makeup and I'm gonna just I'll talk about a little bit about the makeup, but mostly I won't. I'll put in the description box down below everything that I used for makeup today. And then I'll also put in the description box stuff for the D&D that I talk about, like the books and stuff that I know of what they are, in case you're interested and want to start playing D&D with a group of your friends. Let's get started. So basically today for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a full face of my Project Pan items, since I just did all my Project Pan stuff, and I need to use my Project Pan eyeshadow palette specifically more. I'm going to do that. So let's get started. So basically, I'll show you what I'm going to use first. I'm going to use the Huda Beauty Pretty Grunge palette. I'm going to focus around here. I'm going to use like these burgundy eyeshadows and do like a burgundy smoky eye. So that's what I'm going to do today. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about the makeup. I'm going to mostly talk about the D&D stuff. Oh yeah, also sorry for the angle. I'll insert a clip of my setup. Hey, okay, so basically this right here is the setup I have. It's just this tiny little tripod that I have sitting right on my vanity. You can see this is my vanity. So I just have it sitting right here. This goes like this basically. I put my phone right here in this and I have it facing me, and then I can kind of see myself in the mirror since I use my back camera. And then I just have it sitting facing me and it kind of looks up in that horrible angle. And then basically I just do that. So yeah, this is my setup. And then I have, don't judge how dirty this is. It's glass, it always looks dirty. I clean this all the time and it still constantly looks dirty. But yeah, this is my setup. My vanity is not really set up great for recording me doing makeup, so I'm sorry for the angle, but this is literally all I can do. Maybe if I get lots of subscribers and become a famous beauty influencer, I can have a beauty room and like have the whole fancy setup. I doubt that'll happen, but this is just for fun. But until then, I'll show you. I just have my setup that I've got now. So I'm sorry if you don't like this setup, but this is what I've got. So at the very end, I'll show you my makeup. I'll show you how everything looks in like natural light. I just have like a small lighting setup and some windows right now. But yeah. So anyway, yeah. So getting onto D&D. So basically, last night I had a D&D session. It was my nighttime session, and it's the Strixhaven crew. So it's me and currently it's me and 3 other people plus the DM, the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master is also called like the Game Master, but I always call him the Dungeon Master, so he will be the DM from now on. We were playing Strixhaven, but we didn't play Strixhaven the campaign last night because he throws in other campaigns. Last night, I believe we played the Raven's Treasure Map, which is from another book. So spoilers for that if you are playing that or want to play that. But basically, the premise is a raven brings you a treasure map, and you follow the treasure map to treasure. It did not go well. So basically, the setup of our group is I am playing a witch from Valda's, the book Valda's. I forget what the full title of the book is, but I will put the book, a picture of the book here, but it's Valda's. And I am playing a witch from that, which is really fun. I have a familiar. It's basically a wizard class that just uses hexes and spells, and it's cool. I don't know, it was something different. Yeah, we weren't strictly just picking from the Strixhaven book when we made our characters. But basically, I'm a witch. I'm a human witch. Two of my friends are tieflings who are, one is a hedge wizard, one is I think he's just like a witch, or no, sorry, he's not a witch. He's like a wizard, just a plain wizard from the player's handbook. And one of my friends, he's my partner, he's playing a tabaxi, which is a cat person, and he's playing a barbarian, and his goal for the campaign was that he wanted to not be magical whatsoever, but our DM said, well, you have to have some magic because it's a magic school. But if you've ever seen the anime, I forget what it's called, it's like Mashal or something. But basically the premise of that anime is this guy has no magic and he goes to a magic school and he uses brute strength to be magical. It's hilarious. You should watch it. It's a great anime. But basically he wanted to do that. So basically he is a barbarian in a magic school, and he doesn't actually have magic, but he's pretending to have magic. And how that works is our wizard is suspicious of all people, but if you can trick him, if you can lie to him successfully, he will believe you inherently. Like nonstop, and he will be by your side forever. That's like his character flaw. And then the hedge wizard she only trusts other tieflings. That's her character flaw that she rolled, which is bad. So that's been kind of interesting. But it hasn't really come up because like we're forced to be together as like a crew because we have to play as a party. So basically last night we get this treasure map and we're like, okay, so where are we starting? Where are we going? And so our DM is like, okay, so you have to do research. You have a library. You're in a university. And we're like, oh yeah, we're in a university, huh? We're like never in the university. We're doing other shit. Okay, we're doing other stuff. We're never in the university. We have a library. So we go and research, and it's like, oh, the town that you have to go to is really close. And we were joking that the town was literally outside of the town, like it was Hogsmeade, but we were just too dumb to know it. So basically, we went out on an adventure to go to the town, but it turns out instead of ending up in the town, we ended up at this spooky chalet. And then we were like, wait, can we see the map? Because the book came with a map, and the DM was like, yeah, you can look at the map. So we looked at the map, and the map has like a riddle on it. And we looked at the riddle, and we're like, okay, so we're supposed to be at the chalet. We just skipped like a whole part of the adventure. So that is the start of our adventure. We ended up skipping like a whole 3 pages of the adventure. Our DM showed us. He's like, yeah. He just flipped through and was like, you just skipped this. Okay, so we're at the chalet, and we're like, okay, describe the chalet to us. And he's like, well, there's a graveyard and there's the chalet. I mean, obviously he gave us more description than that, but he described it, and we're like, let's go to the graveyard. So we go to the graveyard, and he's like, okay. And then he describes the graveyard, and we're like, hey, this lady's name sounds really sus, because it was like a fancy name. Her name was like Silverfoot something or something. I forget what it was, but it was like Silver something. It was the most interesting sounding name. I'm like, we're like, this sounds really sus. And we look at each other and we're like, grave robbery? Grave robbery. And he's like, what? I mean, obviously he's used to it because we do weird stuff all the time. But basically, so we're like, okay, so it was me and the hedge wizard that wanted to do the grave robbing the most. We were both like gung ho, and he was like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? Which should have clued us in that this was a bad idea. Spoiler alert, it was a bad idea. So he was like, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm just like, yes. One of my character flaws is as soon as somebody is dead, I want their bones. Like, it's a character flaw I rolled on my table for Strixhaven is, can I have your bones when you die? So I was like, yes, I have to stay in character. I have to want bones. So we're going grave robbing. And he's like, okay, do you have shovels? And we're like, no, we'll just use our hands, whatever. We'll just do our hands. And like, my character is a Inkheart, which is like this tall character that has like glyphs on their back, which can be used as a weapon. Also, my character has this thing where I can force other characters to think about a concept. And the concept I chose was death, life and death. So I can force other characters to think about death and their own immortality. because I'm emo like that. But anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. But basically, so we're like, yeah, we'll just use our hands, whatever. We're not going in the chalet. Originally, we were gonna go in the chalet and just break a window and do a little B&E. But then we saw graves and we're like, no, we're doing grave robbery. So we dig this hole and he's like, okay, so night is falling because you're digging with your hands and it's taking you forever because you're dumb and you're not looking for a shovel because you're difficult. So, and he's like, so as night falls, fog starts coming around this grave, and we're like, just that grave? And he's like, yeah, just that grave, you know, not suspicious at all. And we're like, okay. And then we're like, what happens? And he's like, okay, so you dig up the grave and you find a coffin. And we're like, okay, we open the coffin. What do we find? And he's like, it's empty. And we're just like, okay. And he's like, what do you do? And of course we're all like, okay, this is clearly a puzzle because all the signs are pointing to this is an important grave because of the fog. If you've ever played D&D, you know when stuff like that happens, if like the fog the DM saying fog is coalescing around this grave, you know something is important about this grave. Like, we clearly found the important grave and dug it up. We were probably supposed to dig it up, but maybe not. Maybe we're all gonna die. So my dumb ass, this is where I made the mistake. This was a mistake, okay? I break the cardinal rule in D&D when I do this, which is do not separate the party. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna lay down in the coffin. And the DM is just like, he's like, and he just laughs and he's like, okay, you lay down in the coffin. And I'm just like, okay, what happens? All like, you know, excited because maybe I figured out the puzzle. He's like, you disappear. And we're like, okay. And I'm just like, okay, so am I just like laying on top of a corpse and no one can see me? And he's like, no. You're gone. And we're like, okie dokie. So what does that mean? And he's just like got this horrible smile on his face. He's just like so exasperated with our shit. And he's reading the book, trying to figure out how to go from here because we've messed everything up. Because also, spoiler alert, we've just jumped ahead to the end of this adventure. You're not supposed to get to this point till the very end of this adventure. Which he told us, by the way. So we're just like, okay, well, what happened? Where did I go? And he's just like, well, you are now in the Shadowfell. And anybody who has played D&D will know that was an oopsie. That was a big oopsie. And we're just like, oh no. And I'm like, okay. I look around. Is there a way back from the Shadowfell? And he's like, no, you don't see any way back. And I'm just like, okay, what's around me? And he basically just describes the Shadowfell, which, for those of you who are not familiar with the Shadowfell, is basically like the graveyard plane where all the undead are. So basically, as far as my character could see, I was in like a little grave area that was fenced in. Basically, it was like mausoleums and graves and like standing coffins as far as I could see, and everything is dark, right? Everything is dark. And he's like, do you go explore? And I'm just like, no. I am going to sit near where I entered the Shadowfell, and I am going to wait and see what happens, because I am not stupid. I am not going to die by being murdered by the undead. So he's like, probably smart. He's like, okay, since you're not gonna go explore and you're gonna just basically stay by where you came in, I'm not gonna be mean. That was nice of him, I guess. But later he's not so nice, because I'll explain that in a bit. So basically it's like, okay, so what do the rest of you do? And my friends are just like, oh no, what have we done? And so basically they're trying to figure out what to do because there's apparently no way to get me back. We've split the party, which is the cardinal rule in D&D. You do not split the party, because when you split the party, you die. basically, because the encounters in D&D are set up for the number of players that is in the party, and then there's a challenge rating based on how the characters in the party are built, and our party is usually very strong, so the challenge rating that our DM sets up is like high. It's like up here. So like I think our party is level 2, but he goes like a challenge rating 5 or some shit. I don't know, but like, so basically, I do not want to be alone in the Shadowfell because I am a squishy witch. My hit points are 28. Meanwhile, our barbarian has, I think, like 48 hit points, and he takes half damage, and I don't want to be in the Shadowfell alone. So basically, then the party is like, okay, so what do we do? So the DM is just sitting here. He's like this, like flipping through pages, reading, trying to figure out like how to fix this. So then eventually he's like, okay. While the party's like trying to figure out what to do, he's like, okay, so a raven appears and tells you that once the sun rises, your party member will be back, and also tells them in-game, because in-game they don't know where I am. Like, they know, but in-game the characters do not know that I am in the Shadowfell. So it tells them in-game that I am in the Shadowfell and will return at dawn. So he basically gave us an out and said, if we long rest, which will basically take us to dawn, we just sit and wait. And let time pass, I will come back and we can unsplit the party. But we don't do that. We don't do that because we're not smart. We're not smart like that. So the Tabaxi friend, my partner, he is like, I want to get in the coffin. So he gets in the coffin and joins me in the Shadowfell because he wants to cause chaos. He wants to see if he can go into the Shadowfell. Spoilers for later. He wants to go into the Shadowfell and see if he can fight things in the Shadowfell by himself. Because in a previous session, for Strixhaven, we had an exam where we had to test on owlbears, and his solution to studying for the owlbear exam was he went into the forest, found a real-life owlbear, he wrestled it, beat it up, grappled it, drug it back to Strixhaven University, and put it in his dorm room, and he survived. Now, he is a level 2. You're not meant to fight an owlbear at level 2. Just for those of you who do not play D&D. For those of you who do, you also probably know you're not meant to fight an owlbear at level 2. And the DM was trying to kill him to prove a point, but he did not do it. He ended up, I think he ended up with like 8 HP or something. He had like almost no HP left, no hit points left. But he got the owlbear, and the owlbear is now living in his dorm room and being fed table scraps. So that is the level of our party. So basically he wanted to go into the, oh, by the way, I'm using the Milk Hydrogrip primer. Yeah. So basically he gets in the coffin and joins me in the Shadowfell. Meanwhile, the rest of the party is like, okay, well, I guess we go into the chalet and do a look around and see if we can find anything to help us out. So basically, the rest of the group is in the chalet searching around for what to do. And, I mean, they make some progress. They find some stuff. They find a talking well, which the hedge witch tries to complete that puzzle by barking at it because it's asking for a dog, which is kind of funny. But basically, they come to the conclusion that there is so much to search in the chalet, because chalets are large, that they're like, man, we really need to wait for me and the Tabaxi to come back. They should just long rest and wait for us to come back, right? Right? That's the reasonable thing to do, okay? Well, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'm down with that. Well, no, so the Tabaxi friend is like, no, we're not doing that. So he gets into the Shadowfell. The DM is like, okay, what do you do? And instead of staying put, he says, I'm going to exit the fenced-in area and see what happens. As soon as he exits the fenced-in area, 2 gargoyles come down to fuck his shit up. Now, 2 gargoyles generally is way too much for a single player character to handle. it's meant as a group encounter. To give you some context, like this whole thing that we're doing in the Shadowfell was set up for specifically the entire group that is playing this campaign right now to do together. So those 2 gargoyles, the challenge rating was set up for the 4 of us. And he is taking it on by himself because I am not doing this in protest. I am back away from him. It's a 30 cubic foot like area in 5. So I'm gonna sit in back and I'm gonna take the dodge action and you can have fun. If you go down, then I guess I have to fight them because they're gonna come after me. But until that happens, good luck. So he's like, whatever, I can take them. So basically, he fights these 2 gargoyles. He gets down to, I think it's like 12 hit points, but he takes them both out because he's using an unarmed claw attack, which hits twice, and he's also using a cantrip that gives him extra damage. At one point, he does have some magic. He also used Mage Hand because he was forced to take magic, otherwise he wasn't allowed to play a barbarian. But he never uses his magic unless he, needs to, like now, when he's facing 2 gargoyles by himself. And I am not helping him out of protest, because he is the one being difficult. He manages to take down the 2 gargoyles, and then he's like, haha. But then the DM's just like, yeah, because I had been watching him while the Tabaxi friend had been focused on the fight. The DM had been writing on the little tokens that he uses for enemies, and he had been making a lot of tokens. So basically, once the gargoyles went down, the DM stood up and came over to the table and placed like 10 tokens down, and he's like, yep, so now that you defeated the gargoyles, a bunch of undead erupt from the ground. And I'm just like, super. And so, yes, mind you, at this point, the Tabaxi has gone from full hit points down to 12 hit points. And he's trying to guard. He stands in where the gate entrance is to try to guard so they can't come through. But there's like at least 10 of them. So like a bunch of them can reach him and they hit him and he goes down. And I'm just like, oh no. So I tried to hit them, but I have a history of terrible rolls. I just roll terribly. Like, the dice hate me. So I'm trying to Eldritch Orb them because Eldritch Orb, basically it hits 1 and then it hits anything within a 5-foot radius. And obviously I'm not hitting, I'm missing. So they just jump over him and pile onto me. And I'm like, oh no. So then our friends at the table are just like, God damn it, we have no in-game reason to come into the Shadowfell because we don't know what's going on. Like, as far as we're aware, they'll just come back. But then they're just like, we can't let them die because we know they're gonna die. We know they're gonna die. So they're like, okay, we're gonna get in the coffin and join the fight. Because basically the wizard friend had Cloud of Daggers, which is a spell that if he can place it down and it does, I think it's like 44 or 46 damage as soon as anything walks through it. And shambling corpses or whatever they were, undead, are really stupid, so they'll walk through it. So they got in and he placed that down and the majority of them just killed themselves on it, which was good. And then the other ones we were able to take out pretty easily because they had like minimal HP. They were just like a mob. But I mean, they hit pretty hard because it was meant for all of us to take on this mob. Basically, we ended the session with all of us in the Shadowfell, and we have to decide, are we gonna wait for dawn so we can continue to search the chalet? Because if we're just in the Shadowfell, we skipped the entire adventure and we have no idea what we're looking for or what we're doing because we uncovered the end of the plot at the very beginning. Like, we skipped over the town and talking to the townspeople and getting clues there. We basically skipped the chalet because the 2 tieflings were in the chalet and they barely found anything. The only thing of note they really found was the talking well, and they couldn't figure out the puzzle because it was just the 2 of them and they didn't have the required skill set for it. So basically, if we could convince the Tabaxi to leave the Shadowfell because he just wants to go murder things and he's being difficult, then maybe we can continue this puzzle. But there's a very real chance that we're just going to end up staying in the Shadowfell and fighting our way through the Shadowfell and figuring out the puzzle somehow. But probably we won't figure out the puzzle. It'll just be very confusing. So that is that game. That's what I did last night for D&D. Other things we've done for that campaign that are of note. Oh, I should note, before the Tabaxi jumped in the coffin with me, he threw in his toad, Jerry Bruckheimer, which is a toad he got in it's part of Strixhaven. There is it's a toad racing game where you get magical toads and you race them, and it's basically just like a short little game adventure that's gambling. But in the adventure, the toads become evil, I guess. Like there's an overarching theme in Strixhaven where someone is putting spoilers. Obviously, there's spoilers for everything, but major spoilers for Strixhaven. We haven't figured out the cause yet, but somebody is putting like this black oil on everything that causes it to become marginally sentient and evil. So somebody put it on the toad and they rampaged. So you have to not kill the toads because Strixhaven is kind of PG. It's weirdly PG for D&D, but you have to stop the toads and make them go back to normal. And him and our other friend, who is currently not playing with us because he's in Japan right now, kept their toad that they played with and named him Jerry Bruckheimer because, of course. So he just comes with us everywhere, and he's actually come in clutch. So Jerry Bruckheimer, actually, we played another, I don't know what the campaign was. I think it was called The Lost Library. I don't know what book it was from. But basically, in the Lost Library, there is a point in the Lost Library where you are talking to, I think it was like a dwarf or a gnome or something, I forget, that is asking you questions, and you have to answer them correctly in order to open doors in the library to progress. And to be funny, the Tabaxi and our friend who was playing in, I forget what they're called, but they're the new owl race that's in Strixhaven. They put Jerry Bruckheimer up, and we rolled for him to see if he would get the question right, because you can either answer the question with knowledge you have, like because like it's knowledge that you could go through the library and acquire the knowledge, and like we would write it, like we have one of our friends, the wizard, is taking notes, and he would write it down, and we would like answer the DM, and the DM would say yes or no, this is the correct answer. Or you could roll for it, and if you rolled correctly, like a high enough roll, like for the roll save, you would automatically win. So we rolled for Jerry Bruckheimer because the way that the puzzle works is only the person who is in front of the question asker can hear the question. So because it was Jerry Bruckheimer, the toad, we couldn't hear the question, so we just rolled for him. And we rolled high enough, so Jerry Bruckheimer answered the question correctly. So we were able to win this puzzle using a toad and rolling. So Jerry Bruckheimer has come in clutch. But yeah, we put Jerry Bruckheimer in the coffin and discovered Jerry Bruckheimer did not disappear into the Shadowfell at first, because technically he wasn't laying down. And technically, for the puzzle to be solved, you have to lay down and you have to close your eyes. And blinking counts as closing your eyes. So we really wanted Jerry Bruckheimer to go to the Shadowfell, so we rolled to see if Jerry Bruckheimer was technically laying down and closing his eyes. And we rolled for it, and he was. So Jerry Bruckheimer is also in the Shadowfell with me and the Tabaxi. He's not gonna do anything useful. He's a toad. He's a toad, but he's there. Technically, my familiar wasn't. I left my familiar in the regular plane and didn't bother to bring it with me because I wasn't thinking about it, because I don't have a token currently for my familiar. So I don't like think about my familiar that often because I literally just got it, because it wasn't something that came level 1 with my class. But the cool thing about the witch class is I have some interesting familiar options. They're not the standard familiars. They're familiars out of Volda's, and I can dismiss and summon as an action, and I can pick which familiar I want based on the scenario, which has been really useful because we had a Strixhaven puzzle that required us to break into a house. It was like the whole point of the puzzle was that we had to break into this like super lockdown house, and if we break into the house and bring back this, I forget what it was, but it was like this like trinket thing we would get all the fame and glory of like Strixhaven or whatever. And like the whole point of the puzzle is it's supposed to be hard, and like our DM told us afterward that it's a lot of sneaking, which we all suck at. So it would be an extra hard puzzle because we're murder hobos, which means we don't sneak, we just kill things. That's how we set up our characters. It was not really geared toward us. So basically, I have access to a familiar that I forget what the familiar is called, but if I can find it, I have access to the PDF. I'll put it here if I can find it, if I can get it and put it up here. But basically, I have access to a familiar that if I describe the thing that I want it to go find, it will go find the thing. And it's a tiny creature that can like it can like dig underground and burrow and like get into tiny spaces. So basically, I argued that it could dig a hole under the ground and then up through the floorboards and get into the house and go and get to the attic and find the thing, because like it's tiny and it's very sneaky and it could just bring me the thing. And the DM was like, well, fuck, you just broke the whole adventure. And he's like, and then the DM was like, okay, fine, you can win it that way, but you don't get the accolades of being the crew that stole the thing. You don't get any of the perks. So it's like, okay, fine, we don't really care. We don't need the perks. It's just funny. And we were just like, well, we could do it. What is the adventure like? And he explained it to us how it's all sneaking and stuff. And like, oh, we would be terrible at that. But this was just like an added little adventure add-on that was at the very end of our session, so it wasn't that big of a deal that we didn't do it. But I basically broke the adventure with my familiar. So that happens. That happens a lot in D&D. You can break adventures because the thing with D&D is there's a lot of books you can pull from, and if you're not strictly within the book that the adventures are from, it's very easy to pull from another book that breaks stuff in the book that you're playing the adventure from. That's why a lot of times DMs will limit what you can use, but this DM doesn't limit what you can use. Generally, he's just like, whatever, go nuts. That is how I broke that adventure with my familiar. Oh yeah, I haven't been showing you guys my stuff that much about what I've been doing, but like, check this out. I got like really good pen in this Fenty highlighter. This is the what is this? Demi Glow highlighter in Pretty Pearls. This thing is great. It's blinging. I don't know if you can see, but I got like the nice glow there. But yeah, I don't know. Strixhaven is pretty fun. Strixhaven is weirdly PG, which is interesting. Usually we don't play that PG of campaigns, but we decided to play it because we wanted to play something new, and we wanted to play Wizard school, because obviously we don't want to play like a Harry Potter campaign. It's basically a rip-off of like Harry Potter and all of those kinds of things, except it's not giving J.K. Rowling money as far as I know. It gives Wizards of the Coast money, which is fine. I'm fine with giving Wizards of the Coast money. They're the people who make D&D. Campaign isn't quite as memorable as my Heliana's campaign, which I think I'll talk about in a different video, because I'll probably keep doing this because I think it's fun. I like talking about my D&D adventures, and I do it twice a week, so got a lot of content. But yeah, other things we've done in that campaign. So one of the it's not part of Strixhaven. It was a one-off. I don't know what it's called, but basically it's a mansion that's within its own dimension. And basically a professor approached us and gave us a book and was like, I think a professor approached us and gave us a book. I forget. Somehow we got a book. And if you read a specific line in the book, it opens a portal. And we were like, yeah, let's go in the portal. So we go in the portal, and it takes us to this mansion. And the mansion is basically, it belonged to two wizards that made the mansion. And basically, you have to figure out how to get out, because once you get in the portal closes and you're trapped in mansion, basically. So the shenanigans we did in there is we accidentally broke a puzzle because we found the entrance into the attic long before we were supposed to. Because, like, the DM kind of pointed it out, but he didn't, because it's, like, a thing you're supposed to kind of point out, but you're also not supposed to find it right away. We're not supposed to have a barbarian with us, and it's still, like, magic geared, even though it's not strictly Strixhaven. And so we were able to, like, because it was, like, a statue that's in the way that you have to move, so we were able to move it, and we get into the attic, and we break into the final room of a puzzle room to find the last book we needed to reopen the portal, basically. So we skipped a bunch of that adventure. But, like, part of that whole thing is basically we get the books for this mansion. So now we just have this mansion that we can open and close the portals at will, and we've been using it to keep prisoners, because, like, the lost library that I mentioned earlier, that adventure, it was started by a professor. We just said it was started by a professor at Strixhaven, and he was a dick to us, and we didn't like him. He locked us in this lost library, and there was a revenant in there, which is basically a really angry, murdery ghost, and we were mad at him and mad that he made us do his dirty work. Basically, he left us to die, was the gist. We basically, at the end of that campaign, shoved him into our prison mansion, and we're like, you live here now. So, one by one, we're fucking up the professors. Also, in Strixhaven, I got mad that I failed my exams on the Owlbear. So because I have skills, I have the spell called Rumor, which allows me to spread rumors about people. I was spreading rumors about the basically Strixhaven's version of Hagrid from Harry Potter, guy that does the animal handling stuff. I was spreading rumors about him, so the DM made a note about that. I have multiple professors that I am at war with in Strixhaven. There's another professor I was spreading rumors about because I caught him drinking in the pub, and for some reason I got in a war with him. I don't remember why. And then there's another professor I was trying to impress. I also don't remember why. But yeah, basically I spread rumors about a lot of people. I have an enemy. Like, there's a rivals and friendship system in Strixhaven for, like, the school system. I have an enemy. I have a rival, and I'm at max rivalry points with him, which is pretty fun. But basically, his name is I forget what his real name is, but we call him Dick Grayson because his last name is Grayson. And one of the things I did to him to get rivalry points was, at one point I acquired a crystal ball. And this wasn't supposed to be something that was useful. It was just a random thing that the DM gave me as loot, right? It was just supposed to be a random thing in as, like, set dressing. And I was just like, oh, a crystal ball. Because for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure some of you may, if you get a crystal ball, like, for scrying, if you believe in that, you have to keep it covered, especially if it's near a window, because it'll set your house on fire. It's not because your enemies can see you. It's literally because the sunlight will come in and it will refract through the crystal ball and it will start a fire, which is a real thing that will happen. So I was like, I want to put that in Grayson's house near a window. I'm going to break into his house and I'm going to put this crystal ball near a window in his house where he's not paying attention, and I want to set his house on fire. And the DM was like, you're a wizard, just set his house on fire. Like, literally everyone in the party was like, just set his house on fire. You're a witch, you can set his house on fire, you have magic. And I'm like, no, that's not the point. I want to put a crystal ball in his house and have the crystal ball set his house on fire. Like, come on, have some whimsy, people. And also, I don't want him to know it was me. And then the DM was like, no, he's a wizard, he'll know it was you. And I'm just like, aw, come on, taking the fun out of it. But the DM let me do it, because it was funny, and the rule of fun says that I can do stupid shit. So I did that, and I set his house on fire, but it didn't burn down because, again, wizards, so they're gonna put the house fire out. I did set his house on fire, and I got a rivalry point for it. And then, because he's on the newspaper, he wrote a scathing article about me. I was like, is it true or lies? Because I've only fed him rumors on lies. So the DM rolled for it. And he rolled poorly, so it turns out he only lied. My hedge wizard friend is on the paper, and she's very like strict. Like her character is very strict. Like, oh, the paper has to be. We have to hold up the integrity of the paper. So obviously that made her character very angry that he was spreading lies in the paper about me, about her friend. We did like a downtime activity where you could make, like, friends, or you can make, like, enemies, and you can, like, interact with your, like, those people. So she like confronted him, went after him to confront him, but she rolled so terribly that he was impressed with her and she gained friendship points with him. So that's how that went. So she is now friends with my enemy out of respect for upholding the paper's integrity, and he and I are at max enemy points because I burned his house down with a crystal ball. How I started being enemies with him is we were in the what is it? It's like a cafe. It's like the Alchemy Cafe, and he wasn't helping the person running the cafe. Like, the person running the cafe was like, oh, can you help me run the cafe, you know, as like a, I don't know, it was just like a random thing and you get something for it. And like him and his friends were there and they weren't helping or whatever. That was just like a random little plot point to get like enemies or whatever. It was just like a random little thing to get enemies or whatever. So you could like convince them to help or whatever. And we did rolls and we didn't roll good enough to convince them to help. So my character uses a whip as their weapon. So I whipped them, and the DM made me roll to see how effective it was, and my roll was such that I accidentally whipped Grayson and we became enemies. And I have just been rolling with it ever since, and he and I are enemies, and my goal was to get to be max enemies so that I could convince him to, I don't know if I can say this on YouTube. No, I can't say this on YouTube, never mind. But basically, I want to be enemies to the point of lovers. I want to do enemies to lovers. Basically, my goal is to be enemies to lovers because that's funny. Like, that's how we're approaching all our relationships in this game, is we're doing like romance book tropes. We were joking that my friend who is the hedge wizard is doing lovers to enemies because she's doing like the crappy enemies to lovers trope where like it's not actually enemies to lovers, like you like it says it's enemies to lovers, but actually they're never actually enemies. Oh yeah, I'll show you this. This is the CoverGirl, what is it called? Eye enhancer. It's in the berry brown. So yeah, this is actually really great. I'll show you the wand. Like, I don't like the wand. It's one of those like curved wands. I don't know if you can really see, but it's like a curved wand. I don't really like the formula per se, but I like this color. This color is really good. It's like a warm toned brown. I just thought I'd show you that. I know I haven't been good at showing products, but I'm invested in the story. I'm invested in the plot, chat. The Tabaxi, his enemy slash friend has been flip-flopping. It's basically his roommate, and they were sort of indifferent to each other, going back and forth between being friends and being enemies because the Tabaxi is very annoying. But basically they have become enemies at this point because of the owlbear incident, which I talked about earlier, which is putting the owlbear in the dorm room that they share. The DM had him roll to see if his roommate was even there anymore because he brought the owlbear into the room that they share, and it's a dorm room, so like you would assume it's small, and there's an owlbear in it, and owlbears are huge. So basically he rolled, and the roll determined that the roommate is no longer there. So he no longer has a roommate. They are still enemies, and we haven't gone further than that to determine their status. And yeah, our wizard is he's like the calmest one in the group, and I don't think he really has any enemies or lovers or anything. He's very chill and neutral and calm. Oh yeah, also there is a mechanic in the game where you study and you take tests. If you fail the tests, you can no longer be in your just like in real life, you can no longer be in your group activities or have a job. I had a job at the bar, which I picked up because I wanted to be a part of the rumor mill, which I discussed earlier a little bit. And I also was part of the drama club because the clubs give you boosts to stats, and if you have a bad roll, you can call on your club stats, and basically it gives you an additional dice to roll toward your stat, so it helps your rolls. But I am a remedial student now because I failed all of my tests for the owlbear, which is why I was starting rumors about this professor. I was very upset. So I am no longer in a club, nor do I have a job. I am in tutoring now, and it's basically that way until the next test, I think. I forget how long it lasts, but I'm very annoyed that I lost all those stat boosts. Because the DM also gave me stat boosts for being part of the tavern, because I mean I had like actual in-game reasons for being part of the tavern, like additional to just, oh, you have a job. So he gave me additional boosts for it, which was fun because I'm good at role playing. But yeah, I lost that. So with this last adventure, me laying in the coffin and getting stuck in the Shadowfell, there was a lot of remedial jokes to be had because I am the remedial student now. All right, I'm almost done with my makeup. I just need to put on some setting spray and a lip. So yeah, let's do that. Oh god, these angles are so bad. I'm so sorry about the angles, you guys. Here, let me pick it up. Yeah, so yeah, you can kind of see my smoky eye. Okay, so lipstick. Okay, I had to go fetch my lipstick out of my purse that I wanted to wear today because I wore it yesterday too. But for my lip combo, I'm gonna do Perfectionist Lip Pencil by Melt. This is in Toast. And then Juvia's Place lipstick in Cocoa. Here, you can see here. I don't know, the lighting's not very good, I'm sorry. But it's basically, both of these are a red toned brown, which matches like the cool tone burgundy I got going on. So we'll do that. I can't talk while I'm doing this because I do not have that skill set. I'm sorry. But I will put on the lip and then we can finish up. All right, lip is on. Are you ready? All right, well, thanks everyone. That is everything I did last night at my Strixhaven campaign. Although technically it wasn't just Strixhaven. I mean, we were Strixhaven characters, but we played Raven's Treasure Map, I think it was. I don't know what book it's from, but yeah. If you like it, give me a like, give me a subscribe, because I plan on keeping doing these just because it's fun. I like putting on makeup and I like talking about D&D, so why not? It gives me something to do while I don't have a job. But yeah, so I'll see you in the next one.